to feel authentic. I bought it. Hard. The first dates felt weightless. Midnight tacos, sunrise hikes, vinyl records, spinning Miles Davis in my living room. He brought flowers but insisted on no photos together. Said the internet was cruel and he wasn't ready for public eyeballs. Sounded reasonable. Privacy is precious when you've been burned. He had rules. No surprise visits, no calls after 10. Helps me sleep. Weekends, he claimed, were for therapy intensives, digital detox, grieving rituals. I translated that to healthy boundaries. Friends called it a green flag. Even my therapist said, men who process breakups are rare. Hold on to him. So I held on, tightening my grip each time he pulled away. When he cried on my couch after a nightmare about his ex walking out, I stroked his hair and told him healing isn't linear. He thanked me, whispered, "You make the pain quiet." I believed that too. But pain isn't what kept him distant. Secrets did. Little slivers of oddness slipped through the cracks. 2 toothbrushes in his gym bag, a baby sock in his trunk, a Venmo receipt labeled school fees. Each time I asked, he served a perfectly seasoned explanation. Niece, neighbor, donation. I swallowed them like pills. The nurse in me should have known. When symptoms don't match the story, the chart is wrong. Instead, I doubled down on empathy, made him playlists for insomnia, cooked anti-inflammatory meals, waited while he recentered. I told myself love sometimes lives in the waiting room. Then came the phone in the jacket and the voice that called him baby. The moment the script changed from patient to perpetrator. Now I'm rewriting the chart. Diagnosis: chronic deception. Treatment plan: expose, extract, recover. And recovery, this time, starts with me. Before all this, I believed healing was holy, that giving someone space was the purest proof of love. Now I know space can be camouflage, and healing can be a door left ajar for the past to slip back in. Lesson noted. Scalpel ready. No more volunteer heart surgery for strangers again. I used to think doubt arrived like a thunderclap. In reality, it seeps, slow, silent, searing, through everything you believe is solid. It started with the toothbrush, quietly. Not mine, not his. Pale pink, kitty-sized, tucked inside the mesh pocket of his gym bag. When I asked, he laughed, said he'd babysat his goddaughter and forgot it was there. The story fit, but the toothbrush smelled like new plastic. Not a child's bubblegum paste. I logged the detail, let it slide. Next came the baby sock in his trunk. Tiny, white, embroidered with the letters Z. He claimed it had fallen out of a donation box he'd driven to Goodwill. It sounded generous until I checked his trunk again a week later and found a matching sock, this time under the spare tire. Then there were the Venmo notes, school fees, teacher gift, picture day. He insisted they were charity payments for a co-worker's fundraiser. I wanted to believe him, so I did. Even while my chest tightened each time another notification pinged. Nurses are trained to spot patterns. I chart vitals, compare shifts, chase anomalies until they confess. But love hijacks that muscle. It whispers, give him benefit of the doubt. He's healing. You're safe. Still, the evidence snowballed. His phone always on Do Not Disturb after 10. Weekend trips to meditation retreats in a city 2 hours from his ex's address. Receipts for children's books hidden behind protein bars in the pantry. A half-used bottle of kids' ibuprofen tucked behind his cologne. I told myself he was kind-hearted, that he helped family, that generosity can look messy. Yet every rationalization felt like stacking furniture against a door that was already open. One night, he fell asleep on the couch, thumb hovering over his phone. A notification popped up. Lena sent a photo. My pulse spiked, but I didn't open it. Instead, I stared at his peaceful face and realized that the man I loved was living two timelines. In one, he was the grieving ex healing beside me. In the other, he was still writing bedtime stories to a life I hadn't been invited to witness. The tipping point came during a staff potluck. My co-worker's 5-year-old brought a picture book titled Zoe's Zoo Adventure. I froze. That was the exact title on a bookstore receipt I'd found in his coat. Coincidence feels different when it stabs. Driving home, I rehearsed questions, but by the time I parked, I was too exhausted to interrogate. Instead, I sat in silence, replaying every odd moment like CCTV footage, connecting dots I'd pretended were random stars. Doubt was no longer a whisper. It was a siren. I unlocked my phone, opened a blank note, and started listing clues. Toothbrush, socks, Venmo, Zoe, Lena. By the end of the list, I had 37 bullet points and a single conclusion. Whatever he was healing from, it wasn't over. And if I stayed silent one day longer, I'd become a co-conspirator in my own heartbreak. The toothbrush, the sock, the Venmo notes, they were symptoms. What came next was the diagnosis. It started with rules. Gentle at first, framed as self-care boundaries. No photos of us on social media. No surprise visits to his apartment because it triggers memories. No meeting his friends yet. They still talk to my ex. I need space. I swallowed each boundary like it was medicine, even when it tasted like poison. Then the rules multiplied. Saturday mornings were his therapy intensives. He'd leave at 6 a.m., phone on airplane mode until evening. He'd come back smelling of hotel shampoo, eyes glassy, limbs loose like someone who'd slept, not cried, all day. He'd claim processing trauma was exhausting. I'd nod, cook him dinner, let him drift off on the couch. I called it compassion. In truth, it was compliance. Next came the financial fog. He insisted on paying cash for everything when we were together. Digital footprints stress me. Yet I'd spot debit alerts for pricey restaurants in neighborhoods across town. The same nights he told me he stayed home journaling. When I asked, he blamed old auto pay. But auto pay doesn't order tiramisu at midnight. My friends noticed the shift before I did. Emily, blunt as ever, said, "Tara, love shouldn't feel like following someone's probation terms." I laughed it off until Emily's birthday dinner, when Mark refused to attend because celebrations drained my nervous system. Hours later, he posted a vague Instagram story of city lights with the caption, "Healing looks different for everyone." Different indeed. The location tag placed him 3 blocks from his ex's condo. The gap between his words and the world kept widening. One evening, he arrived with a scratch on his cheek. Said he'd scraped a branch while hiking. I believed him until 2 days later. Scrolling Facebook, I saw a candid of his ex's golden retriever. Fresh claw marks on its muzzle. The timelines overlapped too neatly. Still, I didn't confront. Instead, I began collecting, documenting, archiving. Nursing taught me chart everything. I logged. Every time he disappeared, every excuse, every receipt I photographed before slipping it back into his wallet. The file on my phone grew heavier than the love in my chest. The real shift came when my hospital hosted a fundraising gala. I begged him to come just an hour, meet my colleagues. He accepted, but on the day, texted that his therapist scheduled an emergency EMDR session. I stood alone in a silk dress, answering coworkers' questions about my mystery man. At midnight, scrolling through Instagram stories, I saw him clinking glasses at a rooftop bar, tagged by someone else next to a brunette I recognized, Lena's best friend. That was betrayal. Live streamed. I left the gala early, heels in hand, walked 10 blocks in cold wind, and felt the love burn off like fog. By the time I reached my car, I wasn't heartbroken. I was hilariously, dangerously lucid. I drove straight to his apartment. His car wasn't there, so I waited. At 3:07 a.m., he pulled They kissed under the street light. Quick practice, familiar. Then she left in a ride share, and he turned toward his building, scrolling his phone, humming. I stepped out of my car. The look on his face when he saw me was worth every sleepless night. He opened his mouth. I raised a hand. Save it. Emergency therapy, right? He stammered. Tara, I can explain. Explain the rooftop, the girl, or the hotel you charged at 5 p.m.? Because the bank text came to my phone, remember? Silence swallowed the parking lot. I didn't cry, didn't shout. I just said, one more lie, and I bill you for my wasted time. Then I walked past him, entered his apartment with the key he'd forgotten I still had, and gathered the last of my things. When I left, the key lay on his kitchen counter beside a sticky note. Healing doesn't look like hiding. By dawn, the rules were broken, and so was the spell. Outside sunrise painted the buildings gold. I drove home certain of one truth. My compassion deserved reciprocity, not rehearsed deception ever. Dawn should have felt victorious. Instead, it tasted like metal on my tongue. I left his building with 2 suitcases and a question that refused to quit. How deep did the lie go? A single kiss in a parking lot could be explained away, spun into misunderstanding. I needed something unrebuttable, proof that would survive his inevitable victim monologue. So I went forensic. First stop, the bank. The teller printed 6 months of his joint account statements. He'd added me when we planned a future. Poetic that it would ruin him. Line after line showed charges in the same suburb every other weekend. Daycare, pediatric clinic, tiny clothing boutiques, a pattern you couldn't mistake for self-care unless he was moisturizing with baby lotion. Next, the cloud. Months earlier, he'd used my laptop to sync photos, then forgot to unsync. I opened the drive and felt my stomach tilt. Hundreds of images. Him and Lena at pumpkin patches, splash pads, a preschool graduation. The kid, I now knew her name was Zoe, rode his shoulders, wore his grin. In one clip, she sang Twinkle, Twinkle while he coached from behind the camera. Daddy's filming, princess, big voice. Daddy, I wasn't the girlfriend. the hobby between school runs. I could have stopped there, but curiosity can be crueler than heartbreak. I found a folder labeled therapy. Inside, audio files, voice notes he sent Lena after leaving my place. Session went well. Told her I'm still fragile. She bought it. See you in an hour. Every lie documented in his own voice. I copied everything to a flash drive the shape of a syringe. A nurse conference freebie that suddenly felt symbolic and drove across town to Lena's address, pulled from a daycare invoice. I rehearsed a speech. We are both victims. Sisterhood, woman to woman. The kind of noble alliance Twitter loves. She opened the door wearing an oversized hoodie in confusion. Up close, she looked tired, protective, and very pregnant. Maybe 6 months. My rehearsed empathy cracked. Fury flooded in. Do you know who I am? I asked. She shook her head. I'm the therapy. I handed her the flash drive. We sat at her kitchen table while Zoe colored obliviously on the floor. Lena plugged in the drive, listened to one voice note, then another. Her breath hitched. She whispered, "He said you were a patient from group." The absurdity almost made me laugh. I gave her the bank statements, the photos, the dental appointment reminder for Zoe he'd forwarded to his work email. Evidence layered like sediment. Years of double life compacted into undeniable geology. Lena wasn't angry at me. She was angry with me. Together, we built timelines. Dates he'd traveled, nights he'd vanished, birthdays duplicated with surgical precision. He'd spent Christmas Eve with her, appeared at my doorstep Christmas morning, smelling of peppermint and pine, 2 stockings, 2 fireplaces, one pathological sense of entitlement. The final blow came when Lena opened her prenatal app and scrolled to a photo. Him kissing her belly during an ultrasound appointment he'd claimed was a men's retreat. The timestamp overlapped the day he skipped my mother's retirement dinner because crowds triggered his anxiety. My hands shook with a cocktail of rage and validation. The length of the con was grotesque, but at least now the monster had edges. Lena wiped her eyes. What do we do? End the show, I said. We drafted a group text titled Intervention and added him. I uploaded 3 photos and 1 voice note. Context without commentary. Then Lena typed, choose a meeting place. Bring honesty. Leave excuses. We hit send. Typing bubbles popped, disappeared, popped again. A digital panic attack. Finally, his reply, we can talk. Please don't ruin this. This made me laugh so hard I scared Zoe. We agreed to meet that evening at a neutral coffee shop. As I left Lena's house, she hugged me like we'd known each other years. Maybe we had, through the same lies. Driving away, I felt strangely calm. Doubt was extinct. Its carcass replaced by evidence. Whatever happened next wouldn't be a confrontation. It would be an autopsy. And I was ready to name every cause of death. Time to pull the curtain for good. The bell above the cafe door jingled at 7:02 p.m. 2 minutes late for the execution he didn't know he'd scheduled. I sat near the back. Lena across from me, a single empty chair between us like an unmarked grave. Steam curled from 3 untouched cappuccinos. The barista's confused but polite attempt to treat a special meeting. Special, yes. Final, definitely. He spotted us, stiffened, then forced that therapist-approved half-smile. Hey, both of you! The ellipses hung heavier than the silence. He slid into the empty seat, eyes flicking from my face to Lena's rounded stomach to the flash drive sitting on the saucer. I spoke first. No lies, no detours. Start with which one of us you love. His mouth opened, shut, opened again. I love you both in different ways. Wrong answer. Lena laughed. A sound like glass shattering. Different cities, different beds, different birthdays. Sure, let's call that love. He tried a softer tactic. Turned to me. Tara, you know how broken I was? I tapped the drive. Broken people seek help, not arms. Then to Lena. Show him. She opened her phone, pressed play on a voice note. His whisper, keep the light off. Zoe thinks I'm at work. He sagged. Context matters. I slid bank statements across the table. So does bookkeeping. The cappuccino's cooled while we cataloged his crimes. 3 Christmases, 2 families, 1 overlapping flu season. Rent for a studio near the hospital so he could nap between double lives. A gym membership he used twice. Once with each of us for alibi selfies. When evidence finished speaking, Lena leaned forward. I'm 26 weeks. Did you plan to co-parent on alternate time zones? His cheeks blanched. I was going to tell you after I healed. Healing? I repeated. You kept the wound open so you could drink from it. He reached for my hand. I let it hover a fraction from his fingertips, then pulled away. Touch is earned. He turned to Lena. She folded her arms over her belly, protective wall. Panic flashed in his eyes. The moment a magician realizes the audience sees the wires. People at nearby tables pretended not to stare. The espresso machine hissed like punctuation. He swallowed. What do you want? Lena answered. Truth in writing. Child support. 0 contact with Tara. I added. Full confession. Email to every friend you lied to. Or the screenshots go public. 24 hours. He slumped, calculating loss versus exposure. That will ruin me. I lifted the cooling cup. Consequences aren't ruin. They're receipts. He muttered something about therapy, redemption, second chances. I shook my head. We're not your rehab. We're the recall notice on your defective character. The coffee shop's neon clock clicked from 7:21 to 7:22. 19 minutes. Shorter than the year he stole. Longer than any apology he could invent. Finally, he whispered, Okay. Not brave acquiescence, survival instinct. Lena slid an envelope across the table, draft legal documents, signatures flagged in yellow. Have them notarized tomorrow. My lawyer's on standby. He skimmed, lips moving without sound. I stood. Meeting adjourned. He looked up, desperation blooming. Tara, please. How do I fix this with you? I leaned close enough for him to smell the bitterness he brewed. You don't. I fix me by never letting you near again. Lena rose too, one hand on her belly, the other steady on the table. She said nothing. She'd said enough. Together we walked out, heels echoing like a verdict. He didn't follow. Outside dusk had settled, city lights flickering on like replacements for burnt stars. Lena exhaled. I thought I'd feel lighter. You will, I said. After the paperwork, after the storm, healing's real. You just have to do it alone. My phone buzzed. A text from him. Apologies, too long to read. I deleted the thread without opening. Across the street, a bill lit up at 2:08 a.m. His phone, not on the nightstand, hidden in his gym bag, zipped half shut, screen still glowing. I wouldn't have seen it if I hadn't gone looking. He made me smile. For painkillers. Headache, I told myself. Insomnia, maybe. But what I found that ended sleep forever. The message read, I wrapped my coat, breathed. Kids miss you. Call when you're alone. And beneath it, a contact saved as with no secret phones, no invisible rivals. Maya with a heart. I froze. My fingers were cold. My heart. Behind me, the cafe light went out. Curtain closed. Colder. We don't have a daughter named Maya. We don't call each other at night. Stayed shut. Fallout doesn't arrive all at once. It live together. And he never keeps a second phone. At least the morning after the cafe confrontation, I thought he didn't. I stared at it like it might change. As if liars could melt overnight and leave no residue. But it didn't. I knew better. It buzzed again. At 9:00, they asked if you're coming this weekend. I didn't know what to say. Email hit every I backed box in our mutual orbit. Out of the bag, zipped it shut, and walked slowly to the kitchen. Even the landlord who sound was the hum remembered my name. Of the fridge and the lie screaming inside my head. I married accountability. The body was a confession, and I thought I knew. We've built a life, a house, kids. By bullet point, remorse 7 years, and in 2 texts, he admitted it all cracked. Double life, the hidden child, the financial deceit. He called it the weight of untreated trauma. I called it PR. Replies poured back faster than IV fluids in a code blue. His brother threatened to disown him. 2 ex-girlfriends chimed in with their own timelines. A coworker